Chapter 11. There are many things the spinal cord, or magneto, is used for without having to call on the brain, or dry cell battery. For instance, when you close your eye, cough, sneeze, vomit, or jump away from heat or pain, or hits, or shocks, or noise. The more you use the dry cell battery, the sooner you exhaust its voltage. You must recharge the battery with sleep, rest, and by the elimination of conscious effort upon everything you do. Just as the nerve action goes on without stopping in the matter of controlling heartbeats, so a certain something goes on without stopping in the matter of controlling thought. From your first moment of consciousness, your brain has been in constant activity in generating thought, or causing mental pictures or ideas to follow one another continuously without a moment's stopping. Even when you're asleep, the thought action runs along just the same, although the remembrance or the impression of the thought may have vanished. So, as it is impossible to stop thought, we must consider the scientific way of directing that thought. The brain, on the one hand, is a generator of thought, and on the other, it is an organ of thought. And if we keep in mind the brain as an organ of thought, just as the stomach is the organ of digestion, we shall be able to find many practical ways to use the organ as subservient to our will. You can make your brain, as an organ, cause you to walk, talk, see, hear, eat, smell, feel, all at the same time. But you cannot make your brain think two things at once, any more than you can speak two words at once. I want to repeat, you can do many things at once, but you can think but one thing at a time. When your mind is occupied with fear thoughts, you cannot think faith thoughts. One or the other must dominate. While you have been reading this chapter, you have not worried, because your mind was not on yourself, but upon what I hope has been helpful, inspiring, uplifting, and interesting thought. Your brain will do wonderful things for you if you look upon it as an organ or servant of your thought. It will respond to your willpower, and your willpower must be directed toward cultivating a natural habitual ability to keep peace thought in the chair as much as possible. I must repeat this suggestion and emphasize again the importance of it. You are after poise, efficiency, and peace. Note that the first letter of each of these words spells pep. And the way to get this good is the substitution of the good thought and the elimination of the fear thought. The world is to you just as you are to the world. Think good, act good, be good, and crowd out the bad. The more you feed your brain on good, the surer you are to get good thoughts out of it. Chapter 12. We don't know what life is. The secret has not been told. We don't know just what the soul is, or its relation to the brain. But we know there are many ties of relationship between life and soul and mind. We do not know what space is, or just what the stars are, nor can we tell just how plants grow. But we know many truths about space and stars and plants. We haven't the full knowledge of electricity yet, but the knowledge we have of electricity is mighty useful to us. Every day we are learning new truths and applying them to our benefit. When the first telegraph message was sent, it was a world marvel that Morse could send intelligence over a wire. He sent a single message. It was a reverent message, and a high tribute to the faith of the inventor of the telegraph. The message was, "What hath God wrought?" Now, we have improved on the telegraph. The average person doesn't know, perhaps, that we have a multiplex instrument that will send several messages over the same wire at the same time. And not only this, some of these messages may be sent one way and some another simultaneously. Think of that. 2 messages going east and 2 going west at the same time on the same wire without getting mixed. The brain uses the nerves very much like the multiplex instrument, as we have shown in the previous chapter, because it will make us do a great many things at the same time. But when it comes to thought, there can be but one thought at a time. To be strong mentally and to have good thoughts, you must be active mentally and train your thoughts on strength, courage. If you slow down or let your mind wander in side paths or on trivial things, it will get you back to worry and fear and dread and self-condemnation. Your mind is like a young colt. It rebels at first at any semblance of training, but later on, if you keep the reins well in your hand, you can guide the mind into the habit of right thinking. Mind is the master, and it controls your body. and you will feel happy, or you will have worry in proportion as the mind is working through right or wrong impulse. Mind is master. It can and will drive away blues, worry, and the attendant ailments which come from fear thought and mind lethargy and mind abuse. Mind is master, and it can and will drive away ills and despair which come from wrong thinking and wrong physical acts. What profitable study is this which shows us how to throw sunshine into shadowland, to brighten and cheer and attain courage and hope? You are going to be happy, this I promise you. You're going to get rid of worry and to learn that you can master yourself. You're going to be constant in your determination to put good things in your brain to supplant the bad thought that is trying to fasten itself upon you. These things you are going to do, and I hope you are doing some of them now. When you get blue, switch the current of your thought to faith thought. Go to a cheerful friend, talk of blessings instead of hard luck, make your mind travel in another path. Fear no evil. Worry is not real. Nothing can harm you but bad thoughts, so don't let the bad thoughts in. Every time you make this resolve, every time you read this suggestion which I am repeating so often, will you get added help and strength. Chapter 13. We are built up in mind and body from the nourishing mental and physical food we take in. The stomach does not make food, but digests food. The heart does not make blood, but it pumps blood around our bodies. The eyes do not make pictures. They merely photograph or reflect lights and shadows coming into the eye, and impress these things upon the nerves, which carry impressions to the brain. The brain does not make thought, but it digests and analyzes impressions and coordinates ideas. The brain is the storage battery, the digester, the telegraph key, the record keeper, the filing cabinet, the index of thoughts, ideas, impressions, and sensibilities. In the infant, the brain is a clean white page, and everything that will ever come out of that child's brain must first come into it and make the impression. From childhood, impressions, ideas, and intelligences are constantly arriving, and they are permanently established in the brain, where, in company with other thoughts, they germinate or hatch out new ideas. That is, we think the ideas are new, but the ideas have come into our mind in one form, and like chemical change which makes an apparently new substance, so thoughts changed in the mental laboratory make apparently new ideas. You cannot shoot a gun until you load it. What you put in the gun is a few grains of black powder and a fulminating cap. When you press the trigger, you hear a noise, see fire and smoke, and perhaps can feel the heat. What comes out of the gun has no semblance to what went in it, but that which came out was simply a changed form of that which went in. The thing we consider a new idea is merely a changed shape of a former idea which we put into the brain, and coming out now into our intelligence and understanding in a new form. Through our senses of seeing, feeling, hearing, etc., we are constantly receiving impressions which are carried to our brain, where they associate, intertwine, and amalgamate to come out ofttimes seemingly as newborn ideas from our brain. In concrete, I want you to remember particularly this. Nothing comes out of the brain but what went in first. You cannot draw out good thoughts if you feed your brain on bad thoughts. Your brain is a garden in which there are roses and weeds struggling for possession. If you let the roses get the worst of it, the weeds will quickly thrive. You must put in good thoughts and nourish those good thoughts, and be vigilant in eliminating the bad thoughts from your mental garden. Whenever a bad thought comes, or when worry surrounds you, set your willpower at work, and if necessary, force yourself to think helpful thoughts. Say, I am not afraid. I shall not worry, because worry is unreal, a make-believe. I shall not even think of the word worry. You are free. You have your place in the world. You are master of your thoughts. Your will serve you. You must fear no evil. The weeds will die if you keep all your attention on nourishing the flowers. Since you have been traveling with me in this book and have had alternate periods of buoyancy and reflexes of blues, you must not take this as discouragement. Every day you think and act and follow the suggestions in this book, you are putting happiness checks in your reserve bank. I do not want to touch the heartstrings, or write weepy lines or quivering words to show my sympathy, for my message is cheer, joy, and smiles. I have these blessings, and I have promised that you shall have them too. When the atmosphere gets blue, and you feel miserable, Don't give way to your feelings, but get out your mental brush and dip it in the paint pot of courage, and with the rosy paint blot out the blue spots. You're all right. Cheer up. The very fact that you are alive is a great thing. I know of a woman who had 6 children. She had rheumatism and St. Vitus dance at the same time. She had no money, no friends, but somehow or other she had pep and grit, and she came out all right, and I understand occasionally she has pie for breakfast, so I guess you needn't worry. You will never improve your game of billiards if you play with inferiors. You will never improve your optimism if you chastise yourself by comparing your weak points with the strong points of others. Instead of suffering by being envious of others who have more material things than you have, you should get satisfaction and comfort in looking at the greater miseries and sorrows of others less fortunate than you, and that will help you toward contentment.